Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Rider Spike, back again once again. And today, people, today we're here for #1 Sentai Gozyuger episode 16, and this is the introduction, the debut of Goju Polar and the Prince of Darkness Good Burn. And man, this was a dope episode. This was an amazing introduction to him too, because when the episode started, we got a completely different opening. Like a completely different opening song. Like just complete different. It was, and the whole song was talking about him, Mashiro. The whole song was talking about him and just how freaking cool he is, you know. But we actually found out in this episode that Mashiro was the one that won. He won the first war, and he was piloting Tegasword. He also is the predator, well, the Goju Wolf before Horu was. So there's a lot going on with this dude, and he wants to become, he basically wants to be a god himself, and he's the one that saved the world, and his wish was to save the world. So the world was basically made peaceful and everything because of him, and I dig it, and I like him a lot, especially his freaking fighting style. But we see in this episode that the queen wants her baby. Essentially, when the Prince of Darkness, Kinryu, was basically born, and that's basically Goju. That's basically, you know, our big polar bear Zord, and he's basically been born, and the queen wants him to be brought to her. But also, we see that our main 5 rangers have all changed. They've all been reverted into something else. And like Horu's back working his weird job, working his, like, you know, his first job, his retail job. Sakito is not Sakito. Byakuya is he's like a student that's like obsessed. He's like an obsessed, like, crazed student. Green is back to being an old man, and he has a caregiver. Sumino is like an all natural kind of girl living, and the landlady and Yellow are dating now, and they're wearing matching outfits. It's weird. So, but we see that Mashiro has the power to reverse everything. Like, he has the power to basically make them go back to how they normally are, and he does this to Horu, and he talks about Horu, and he talks about how, like, he doesn't, you know, he talks down to him a lot, and he calls him second gen, you know. He calls him, like, he said, I know who you are and stuff like that. You're pretty boring, you're a boring nobody. Like, it's weird. And they see that, you know, No.1 monsters are around. And now by them actually just being able to be around, they don't have a human that they're possessing. So now these monsters can be destroyed without having to worry about taking the human out. And also, Tegasword, he can't talk to any of the rangers because, you know, their rings are gone, so they can't hear him. But for some reason, Horu had his ring, and it seems like Garud took Horu's ring, and when he took his ring, he made sure that it, like, didn't disappear. And because he didn't give the ring to the queen didn't have enough rings to end the world and reshape it the way she wanted it to. The only thing that happened was that, you know, the Prince of Darkness was born, but the world didn't change the way they wanted it to. So is Garud, like, what was that? Because he didn't give her the ring, and now Horu still has his ring. So is Garud a double agent? I think it's a little bit too early to be thinking that way right now, but it is sketchy that he did that. It is kind of sketchy. But yeah, so Tegasword. But it's kind of funny though, see Tegasword and Horu just walking around with just sitting, and we see that, you know, Tegasword's kind of down at everything, like, because he couldn't, because, like, he's like, I'm trying to talk to my champions, but they can't hear me, you know. And the only one that can hear me or see me is Horu, because he still has his ring. But now that everybody is kind of like, changed and stuff like that, we see that Goju Polar is, basically that Goju Polar is, he also like he's basically on his own mission. We find out what his own mission is later on, but we see that Bouquet, Garud, and Fire Candle are all off looking for Goodburn or Kangaroo. They're all looking for him, and they can't find him. He's in the city, but they can't find him right now. So we see that Bouquet, she sees that Hodu has his ring, and she's like, yeah, we're gonna need your ring eventually, but we need the other ring. So they ended up seeing that Mashido has the Goju Polar ring, and they ended up finding Kangaroo, and he basically pulls himself out of the ground and stuff. But before that, we get a fight between two No.1 monsters that kind of came out of nowhere. They were like attacking random people, and we see that Mashido and Hodu basically challenge each other to see who's gonna take out these who's gonna take out these No.1 monsters first. So it's basically like a 2v2, and we see how Goju Polar fights, and bro be boxing. He's all fists. He's boxing. His freaking henching sequence is cool. His suit's freaking dope, especially when you see it in action. He has an amazing finishing move where he like freezes this monster and punches him and shatters him. It was really, really dope. But then we see that Hodu kind of loses because he doesn't beat the No.1 monster before Mashido can beat his own. And then that's when we get to see Kangaroo, and he comes out of the ground and stuff like that. And they're trying to find, and Bouquet is like, oh, we found him. We gotta get you back to the queen and everything. But when he awakens, he kind of acts like a baby. He acts like a big whiny baby. So that's when Mashido kind of goes in. He goes inside of him and talks to him and tells him that, I'm Mashido, and let me be the person to teach you about the world. Let me teach you about the world, the good and the bad. Let me be your god. And he basically gives him like a new name, because his whole name was a super big mouthful, like the Prince of Destruction, King of, like, yeah, it's like, I'm changing your name. He changes his name to Goodburn, and when he changes his name to Goodburn, Goodburn basically decides to stay with Mashido, and because Goodburn is technically a kid, so he decides to stay with him, and he trusts him. So he ends up hitching up and getting the mecha form, and he ends up fighting Fire Candle. And they just said, screw it, we're gonna have a full-on boxing match right now. Ice and fire, let's go. So while that's happening, we see that Hodu's still kind of fighting. He's getting ready to finish off the other No.1 monster. It was a Showa monster, getting ready to finish off that monster. But then out of nowhere, the rest of the crew showed up, and they're all back to normal. So now that they're all back to normal, they all basically just team, kind of like team but not team, use their ultimate attacks on this No.1 monster and defeat it. And then we see Mashido go up there fighting Fire Candle. He ends up defeating Fire Candle, and after that, Fire Candle's mech is destroyed again. But then that's when he talks to the rest of the team, and he basically says that they ask him like, yeah, so I guess you're gonna end up you're gonna be in the ring battle, aren't you? And he's like, nah. And he pulls out the ninja ring, which I guess he pickpocketed Hodu for. And then he basically says that gathering these rings is basically useless. And he crushes the ring, and it goes from gold to blue. He changed the ring. He changed it from gold to blue, and basically says that I'm going to surpass Tegasword, and I'm going to be the new god. So, and the episode ends off right there. So, man, this guy is, I like him. I like him a lot. He's freaking cool. He's freaking dope. But his whole method, I guess this guy has like a gigantic god complex, and basically talks about how he's gonna surpass Tegasword. So, I guess he can feel that way since he is the previous hero. But man, also if he's the previous Goju Wolf, are we, I don't know, I think it's a little bit too far-fetched, but could we meet the Gozyuger blue, Gozyuger green, Gozyuger yellow, and Gozyuger black? Could we meet? Is there a possibility that he had a team that he was with and he was teaming up with them? You know, is that a possibility that we could meet them? It would be okay, complete fanfic right now, but it would be cool to see the previous Gozyuger come back and be a whole nother team on the side, but they're all like 5 different animals, and they're like the predecessors to the Gozyuger we have now. Like, that would be dope, now that we know that Mashiru was also Gozyuger Wolf. But man, this episode was cool though. I'm actually very much looking forward to how the story is going to unfold now, because he's around and showing how powerful he is. Technically, dude's technically a freaking demigod. But yeah, I wonder how Tegasaur's gonna feel about this. And also, now the queen is finna be pissed because her son technically is basically the Gozyuger, not on their side, and most likely is gonna go out there and try to get her baby back, just like she went and got her man in the last episode. And Tegasaur, this is also technically your son, so I don't know what's gonna happen after this, but I'm really looking forward to see how the story is gonna unfold after this, now that we have our full 6-man team, air quotes. But yeah, guys, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of No.1 Sentai Gozyuger. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. As I always say, stay hitchened.